Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Joining me today is Mohamad Chaaban. He is an entrepreneur, currently leading his startup called Ignite, aiming to disrupt the conventional disability treatment and therapy of children. His inspiration comes from a deeply moving relationship with his son, as you will hear in this conversation. Mohamad wishes for therapy reporting to be more accessible and understandable for parents so they can be more involved in their child's treatment, something that is still a very large gap in the therapy process. Mohamad is an immigrant from Lebanon and has a fascinating backstory that reminds us where you start off in life should not dictate where you end up. I hope this story and his work inspires you if you are going through a tough time. As always, I thank you guys for your support. If you are new to the podcast, kindly consider subscribing. If you are already subscribed, kindly leave us a comment and a like, because your engagement with my videos is the only thing that helps this channel grow. Also, if you have not done so already, kindly check out all of our social media platforms for all of our short form content. All the highlights from this conversation and from all of my past conversations are going to be up there, so do check that out. But anyways, without further ado, this is my conversation with Mohamad Chaaban in The Gap. When I first saw your LinkedIn profile, one thing that really stood out to me was your headline.
Yeah.
My time in this world is finite.
Yeah.
Tell me something about that. What does that mean?
I don't know. I have that belief that we come to this life and we have a choice, and either to be consumer or to be creators, and we have a limited time. So for me, I have a purpose. I think I came for this life for a reason, and I'll make sure I don't leave this place without making an impact.
So is that what drives you every day?
Yeah.
You feel like you want to make an impact. What does impact mean to you?
Impact is giving a second chance for someone. So I'm someone who've been given a lot of second chances in my life. Actually, waking up today is a second chance for me, and this is what it helps me to go through all the setbacks.
Okay.
That I woke up today. I failed yesterday. Let's say it's okay. Today I woke up. It's a second chance for me, and that's what impact means to me. Like creating a second chance for someone, because I've been given a lot of second chances in my life.
Right. So I feel that there's some history back there in in your words. I can tell. You faced a lot of setbacks in your life.
Yeah. Look, I was born in a civil war.
Yeah.
And that was a civil war between Muslims and Christians in Lebanon, and that's why I don't have any memories for the first 10 years of my life. And I'm lucky because my brain blocked all those memories. It's a trauma, but it's all right. And then after that, a bit about my uprising. So after that, I remember that I was at the private schools. My dad, he's a policeman in Lebanon.
Oh, that must have been tough.
It is tough because when people ask me who's your idol, this is my dad. Because me and my siblings, we all in private schools. He's a policeman, so he had to wear his uniform 24 hours because he cannot afford buy clothes. Even if he's not working, he will still, obviously the different sets, but it's for free. The government give you the uniform. So instead him buying new clothes, he will wear his uniform, just to afford paying for our private schools.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that, that will create for you as some sort of resilience. Like if this guy can do this, I can do the same.
Yeah.
And it's harsh on him, and when you compare your hard times to his times, you say that's easy, man.
Yeah.
That's easy.
He's done the hard stuff.
Yeah. And I think this is how I was being raised, and from that, so I graduated and went to Saudi Arabia for 1 year. Yeah, I couldn't stay more than 1 year there. At that time was really hard for a bachelor person. And from there, I went to Dubai, stayed for 8 years there. And then I came here. I know no one here. I went out of the airplane. I found a taxi. He asked me, "Where are you going?" I don't know where I'm going. Just take me to any hotel right now. And he asked me, "Where are you from?" I'm from Lebanon. Don't worry, brother. He was Indian, a nice guy. And then he chucked me in Bankstown. He told me, "All your people are here. Don't leave here. Don't leave this place." And then at the beginning, I didn't understand that. And then when I went there, and then I found everyone speaking Arabic there. So
that's little Lebanon.
Yeah, and then, I had a decent job in Dubai, but I believe that the more you get older, your needs become different. For me, when I started work, it was all about money because I'm coming from a poor place, so I wanted money. And then once you get the money, now it's not a need for you anymore. It's like a Maslow triangle, where your needs become different. So that's why I came to Australia. I thought that I had that idea that I'm gonna find someone like a mentor or whatever. It wasn't about the money, to be honest. It was about like I'm gonna get a mentor, and I'm so good at what I do. So yeah,
there's some stuff that I'd like to unpack in all of that. So growing up in Lebanon, tell me something about that. Try to explain. I hear about Lebanon, right?
Yeah.
And I understand the civil war and the difference between the Muslims and the Christians and the political instability. But as somebody who has lived through that, who has been there, and as a Lebanese citizen yourself, explain Lebanon to me. What is the problem that Lebanon is facing? Why is Lebanon the way that it is?
It's about. I don't usually do politics. I hate politics, but it's more about the secularism, and I believe that religion is a vertical relationship between you and your God. The problem in Lebanon that we made it a horizontal relationship between people.
Okay.
So we moved that relationship from being vertical to horizontal, and this is where it's creating confusion and all those conflicts.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, because it's I don't care who you believe in, and I don't care what are your beliefs. This is between you and your God. The horizontal relationship is about how you interact with me and all those dynamics. So, for example, the first question that people ask you, there's a few questions people ask you when you start a conversation with a Lebanese. First of all, what's your name? Let's say Jacob. Then Jacob, he can be Muslim, he can be Christian. Okay, what's your family name? I say Dawood. Okay, it's confusing now. I don't know where's your religion. Where are you from? And then based on your location, you're from the north, that means you're big percentage you're Sunni. You're from the south, you're Shia. You're from so people that like the Lebanese people. I think that's about the insecurity.
Yep.
And the way they want to look at it, they want to know your religion first
before knowing you.
Before knowing you.
Yeah.
And this is very destroying. This is very damaging. It's another problem that us as a Lebanese we think we are the best. We have a high ego that we are the best people. It's like a best between the Arabs, best blah blah. Like I witnessed this in Dubai, and when we make fun or when we undervalue other people, like for example Indians or Pakistani, and then my argument is always those people have nuclear power. What do you have in your country?
Sure.
Hummus and tabbouleh. That's it. You have nothing.
Yeah.
So you can't treat people with that superiority, and you have nothing in your country.
I think the problem stems from the fact whether you're a nuclear power or not, whether you're America even, does America not have its own set of problems? It does.
Yeah.
America has its own societal problems.
Yeah.
Does China not have its own set of problems? China has it. The problem is we need to treat everyone with empathy and respect.
Yeah.
We need to understand that, okay, just because a culture or a country or a set of people are different from ourselves, just because they do not have the same belief system as ourselves, that does not mean that they do not have anything good to offer.
Yeah. And, don't judge, like, for example, people on their social position or professional position. If he's a labor, you work in management, it doesn't make you better than him.
Yeah.
But it's not about also devaluating other people. Take it this way. If you think you're the best, there is no chance that you improve.
Exactly.
Because in your head, you're the best.
You don't need improvement.
So in your head, it's you're the best. So you don't need to improve that, and that's why we're not moving forward, because we think we are the best. Why we need to put the effort to be better?
Exactly like what you said. I can copy paste that exact same sentiment on Pakistan and Pakistanis because in our heads in Pakistan, like, we are the best. That's the problem. That's why nobody is progressing.
Yeah, and this is I think this is where politics comes, because they want you to collectively think this, because this is where you get drugged. And there is a lot of philosophy and psychology behind politics. It's not like, I want to be a politician. You need to understand the herd mentality, so you can.
Yeah, I have an idea about this, because, like, now looking at the state of affairs in my own country, in Pakistan, I try to wonder why things do not improve. Or like with Lebanon, why do not things improve? Now this might upset a lot of people, but I believe that any country where politics is governed by religion, that is where the problem is.
Yeah.
Because with religion, with a lot of Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, all of these are religions that ask you to focus on the afterlife, right? Do good in this world to make your hereafter better, and that is where you will be rewarded.
Yeah.
Now the problem is that in Pakistan, people take that to heart so much that they forget to work in the world.
Yeah.
They say that it's all about the hereafter. We don't need to worry about the world. We don't need to make our present any better. We're focusing on the hereafter.
Yeah.
All our reward, everything, we'll get it in the hereafter. We don't want to improve today. So people use that, and I'm not saying that is something wrong with the religion. The religion is fine.
Yeah.
But you as people are using that as an excuse to not work hard. You're not willing to work hard, and you're using religion as an excuse for your laziness.
Oh man, that's really true. And there is two ways to destroy your opponent. Or you work better than them.
Yes.
Or to make whatever they're doing is irrelevant.
Yes.
And this is, so let's say 2 buildings, you can build a taller building than, a competitor you have. Or you say, this is a small building. And then in your head, you don't need to
improve.
You don't need to build.
Yeah.
So this is a problem also with those, because I spent a good time So after I graduate, I spent a good time with the hippies in Lebanon and anti-capitalism people. And then I spent like 5 years with them doing nothing, just complaining about capitalism and then how there is no equality.
Yep.
Okay, so what's the plan? There's no plan. There's just like
like you complain, but then you need to have a solution.
Yeah.
If you don't have a solution, then stop complaining.
Yeah. And then this is how we lived. I used to live day by day. Getting alcohol and all this and all drugs and all the shit. And okay, so what's after? We're just this is so in us as a humans, we like to victimize ourselves. So this is a very common trait especially in the colonized world.
Yes.
Countries who have been colonized by English, French, British, French, whatever you ask people, they like to, that mentality is still there in their subconscious, and we're victims. Let's change it. It's easier to be a victim, and that's why all those setbacks I went through in the last 10 years in Australia. I don't want to. It's easy to play as victim. It's a racist country. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so what's the plan?
Yeah.
what should I do?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So for yourself then, putting that, all of the reality of that in Lebanon as a context for yourself, what is your qualification? Like, what did you used to do back there? Who are you as a
no, my degree. So after I wasted 5 years with the hippies and anti-capitalism because those people were just complaining. We don't study. We don't do anything.
Yeah.
It's like
that's what I'm trying to understand. How did you get out of that rut?
I came back to uni and I was 23.
Yeah.
And then everyone was 18 there. And then this is very big in Lebanon. It's not like here. In here, you go at 50 to the uni.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah, they say, oh man, he's too old to come to uni.
Yeah.
Then I had to go through this. Obviously, my dad, he gave up on me and so I had to work 3 jobs. So I work from 7 to 4, a job as a production controller. Then from 4, I go back to the city. I take another job in a restaurant as an accountant. And then at night, I go to a receptionist at the hotel to the 6 in the morning. And then 6 in the morning, the bus or the shuttle that will come pick me up to the other wall. So I don't go home. I go only, obviously I used to sleep in the hotel for 3 hours. Like after 4, there's nothing. But I don't go home until Saturday, Sunday. This is where I sleep all day. But
so you were constantly in that cycle. You were constantly out.
That was for 1 year. For 1 year, I don't go home. I had 3 jobs, and that was my last year at uni. And so I had to study too. I don't used to go to uni, so I need to digest the whole curriculum by myself. And at Lebanon, it's okay not to go. You don't have attendance. So yeah, for 1 year. I didn't go home. Like I had 3 jobs. I go home Saturday, Sunday, I sleep. And then this is a cycle. But I got the degree. This is because I've decided that this life is not for me. Like that complaining life and passive mentality. This is not me.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I thought I would change the world, but 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. Nothing. We're not doing anything to change. We're just complaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is how I get out of it.
Yeah. Part of growing up and part of maturing is realizing that in order to change the world, you need to change yourself. First.
Yeah, and you need to change. I don't believe changing from outside.
Yeah.
You need to go
inside.
So you change from inside.
Yes.
Outside, that's procrastinating.
Yes.
Yeah, I won't bring you any value. It's very theoretical. You need to live it.
Sure.
So yeah, this is how I get. And then, I got the degree. I kept working. Once I got the degree, then after that, the CEO of that company, he was going to another company in Saudi Arabia and told he heard good stuff about me. He told me, "You want to go?" I say, "Yeah, I'll go."
Yeah.
And then things went from there.
Yeah. So that degree basically became your
it's an
ticket out of there.
It's an accounting degree.
Yeah. So that basically became your ticket out of Lebanon.
Yeah. And then the funny thing at uni you study everything in French, and then when you go to the workforce, and then you find everything in English. And I remember the first time I saw that balance sheet, I say, "What the fuck is that? I don't know all this, man."
How come it was in French?
Yeah, everything there in French.
Really?
Because it was a French colony.
I never knew that about.
Yeah,
Lebanon used to be a French colony. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's a French colony.
Fascinating.
That's why we speak French as a second language.
Yeah.
So Arabic is the first, French is second. Obviously, private school is you study French before Arabic, or the curriculum, even in the government, is in French.
Amazing.
We don't take any curriculum in Arabic.
So okay, makes sense. So the university degrees, that everything was in French.
Yeah.
And then you had to go and apply all of that in English.
Yeah.
How was that?
I'm telling you, I was saying, what the hell is that? I've never seen all this, like a balance sheet, income statement. Like I didn't study this, and then
You're right.
It takes time to adjust because the concept is there. Just those vocabularies are not there, but you need to do an extra effort to catch up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you went to Saudi Arabia, spent a year there, then you moved to Dubai, and you spent 8 years in Dubai.
Yeah.
How was Dubai like?
It's not. It's fun for the first 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, you get bored of it, and it become like a routine. The good thing still there that they have a lot of discount on air flights. So you go to Lebanon for 3 hours, $100, which is really good.
Really good.
I used to go on the weekend. I go Friday, I come back Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good place. It's really, but it's not as professional as people they like to. There is a lot of politics there, especially when you go up in the in management. And that's why I got fired. I wasn't good at politics.
Yeah, okay.
I was really shit at politics. Like it's so in corporate life when you start, it's about when you start at the bottom, because I went from the bottom to managing 250 people as a plant manager. But you start from when you start, it's about hard work. In the middle, it's about leadership. When you get to the top, this is now about politics and resources.
Nice analysis.
This is how things, and if you are an entry level person, you need to put the hard work. If you are management, it's about leading your team, like 3, 4, 5, 6 people. And then when you got to plant manager and up, you need to be good in politics. You need to be good in branding, PR, all this. Those soft skills become more important than your knowledge. I wasn't good at that. I did a lot of mistakes. And then, but when I got fired, I got another job in a mining company, aluminium mining company. At the same time, I got the visa to Australia. And I remember that night, I had 2 visas. And then I was sitting at night and I was thinking which visa. They're in front of me, like hard copies.
Yeah.
Which one I should take. This is too risky coming to Australia. I don't know one, but there is potential there. Yeah, that one of Dubai. It's a good salary, a good offer, but something that I'm not into anymore. Well, that's why I decided.
And at that point, did you have a family there, or were you single at that point?
No, I'm single. I spent 3 years here single.
Okay.
Before meeting my wife, and I met her by coincidence.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So, how did you eventually decide on Australia? You just wanted to change?
Yeah. So this is what I wanted. I thought that I'm gonna because I used to work in restructuring and ERP implementation there. So I moved from accounting, debit credit. This shit is not for me. So I moved to cost accounting where there is more analysis.
Yeah.
And then from cost accounting, I moved to performance management where there is a lot of KPIs and then from there I moved to because I know a lot of cost accounting. So cost accounting, this is where you design what's behind the doors, how the information will flow to calculate how much cost and to give a reflection on the position. So this is it will open new doors because you had access to a lot of information to work on ERP implementations. So I work on a big projects like SAP, Oracle, JD Edwards, Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft Navision, and I came here. I thought I'm gonna be a consultant.
Yeah.
Second day, this is on a side note. I went to a Ernst & Young. It was so naive of me.
Yeah.
I took my resume. Second day I came Australia and I still remember their office were in Circular Quay. I went up. This is my resume. They asked me, did you apply it online? I say no. And do you have an application?
Yeah.
Okay, leave it here. I will call you.
Yeah. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. You need to realize. The work culture and the recruitment culture over here is a little different to, like for example, what Dubai is. Yeah. Largely different.
And I've never applied for a job in my life. I always was pitched, and that's why it was hard for me applying. Even when recruiters try to pitch me there, if it's not startup, I will not take the job. Because in my head, when you work in startup, so only my first job was in a matured company.
Yeah.
And you have a job description.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Saudi Arabia, when I work on a startup, you can have access to everything. So you sit in a in a room with a CEO, CFO. You learn from them. You learn faster. And usually information security is not there yet. So you can access all the information, see all the flows, how they're flowing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my only condition for any job I take should be a startup. If it's not startup, I will not take the job. Give me whatever you want money, I will not take it. Or it's a restructuring where I need to fix something. So yeah, when I came to Australia, that was my first experience with applying to job.
Sure.
It was fucking hard.
So, okay. What was the culture shock like coming into Australia? How did you find Australian society and, just the work culture, for example?
So when I came to Australia, I couldn't find a job. So I had to survive. So I did a lot of work. So I work in corner shops. I work in constructions. I work in warehousing, Amazon, DHL. But my first job was in a corner shop for $10 an hour. It was tough, not physically, mentally.
Yeah.
When you are on 5K American and then you come work for $10 an hour.
Oh.
And then you need to go to uni in the morning and that shift is at night.
Yeah.
I had two people, Lebanese people with me in the same cohort. They were coming from Qatar. They just went back to Qatar. It's hard. It's mentally hard.
Yeah.
This is the hardest part. The hardest job I work was cleaning on Darling Harbour. There is a lot of nights where I used to ask myself what I'm doing here. I've never felt regret, but should I go back?
Yeah.
So, because at the end of the day, I'm not Superman. I need to have those weak moments, and this is where I ask myself, what I'm doing here. I applied for a lot of jobs, like corporate jobs, and then they tell me, no local expertise, no local expertise, no local expertise, and then you say, okay, I'm gonna apply for entry-level job, like a data entry or account payables or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I know I'm so good. Once I get inside, I'm gonna go fast, bum, bum, bum. Then they reply, overqualified.
It's such a paradox. Like you're overqualified for the entry jobs, but they're not giving you the jobs that you are qualified for because you don't have local experience. It's frustrating.
It's really frustrating. But at the end of the day, as a man, you need to show up and put the food on the table.
Yep.
You can't, and this is where the mentality comes. Like the whole world is against me. Blah 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 blah. You can't do that as a man, especially when you're married, and especially when you have a goal in your life. And then you need to take any job.
Yep.
Any job. It doesn't matter what the job is. You need to take the job and show up and do the work. So, yeah, it was really tough. Like, I think the hardest one was the cleaning on Darling Harbour.
It's because it kind of hits your ego.
Yeah.
I'm qualified. I've worked in these companies. I've earned so much money in my life. I used to live in Dubai for 8 years and whatnot, and now I'm here sweeping up Darling Harbour.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. Like all jobs are respect worthy, but it's just that your expectation of what you're qualified for versus what you're actually doing, it just hits you that this is not what I'm meant for.
Yeah, and then this is not it slows you down. The feelings are coming when you come here for a purpose.
Yes.
And then this will slow you down. And then all that time, it's a wasted time. And, again, your time is really finite. And you can't waste time. Like, you need to find a solution. You can, it's up to you how you take it. Either you blame everyone. Racism is everywhere.
Yes.
It's not only in Australia. My mom is Sudanese, and I was born in a place called the neighborhood of slaves.
Okay.
Because all the Sudanese immigrants are in that neighborhood. So even in Lebanon, they used to call this neighborhood of slaves because they're black.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not, you can't, I mean, you can't blame racism. It's there. You know, again, I mean, why I always read and why humans they survived, dinosaurs they didn't, because we adapt. So you need to adapt and move on. Like you can't be like a stiff, oh racism, oh racism, oh racism. And that's too stiff. Just adapt and move on. Yeah, I think that's real life. Whatever you in the books is in the books.
Yeah.
Real life is different.
Right. So when did that change happen? Then when did you actually get your break? Was it actually when you met your wife at that point? How did that shift happen then?
No, even when I met when I met my wife, so a part of the story that when I was working in the corner shop, the owner has a lot, like 30 corner shop.
Okay.
And then he met me once. He came to the shop. I didn't know him. He asked me, I want $500. I said, I'm not gonna give you $500. Who are you? And then he told me, I'm an owner. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you $500.
Yeah.
And then from there, I think maybe he admired me.
Yeah.
Then next day he asked me, my son, he's a CEO. Can you come help him?
Okay.
And that time that period of time, I was doing good money. And if I wasn't having a good income, I would never marry. And then after I married, because it's a family business, again, politics, 1 month after I got married, I got terminated. And this is where I started applying to all those corporate jobs.
Yeah.
My wife always tell me to change my name. Even there is one recruiter, he asked me, did you consider changing your name? I told him, I remember I told him, look, I have a lot of tats. Do I look like someone who's religious?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But this name doesn't belong to me.
Yeah.
This name is given by my dad. It belongs to him.
Yeah.
I cannot change it. So some people, they change. There is nothing wrong and right. This is what they see.
Yeah.
And this is what I believe in. Again, believing is nothing wrong and right with it as long as you're not crossing, other people's life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't change my name.
Not making it religious or anything. Like it's the name is it's a Muslim name, right? But it's not. It has nothing to do with religiosity. And people who do change their names, nothing bad against them, but it's just, I guess it's a personal choice. Yeah. For some people, the name is attached to your own identity.
Yeah.
Like I believe it is for you.
Yeah.
Mohamad Chaaban is who you are.
Yeah.
And you identify yourself as that.
Yeah.
To change your name is essentially to change your own self.
Yeah.
And that is what you do not want to compromise on.
Yeah. That's exactly correct. Like, again, that's something I learned, that I don't judge anyone. Everyone is free with his choices. But for me, I'm free too with my choices.
Yeah.
And I won't change the name to get a job.
Yep.
So I preferred at that time to do warehousing jobs over changing my name.
Yeah.
I mean, even people, they give me advice to change my postcode because they know 2144, let's say Bankstown, I don't know what the Bankstown postcode. Let's say Bankstown postcode. That means big percentage you're Lebanese. Starkville postcode, a big chance you're Chinese or Asian. I don't know, Indian. Blacktown postcode, whatever. There's a big chance you are Indian. So yeah, I didn't change my postcode. I didn't change my name, but also I didn't dramatize it.
Yeah.
Just own your decision and move on.
Yeah, be authentically yourself, because you know what the problem is, you compromise on one thing, like your postcode or your name. You think it's a small thing, but what that does is that just opens up the door for more compromises down the line.
Yeah.
If you compromise on one thing now, you're gonna have to make more compromises again and again and again.
Yeah, that's true. Like, this is because you become comfortable with compromising.
Exactly.
And the only thing that it's really needed for growth is discomfort. And that's why people that don't want to go through that phase of growth, sorry, because they're not okay with discomfort. If you want to grow, you need to go through that stage of discomfort. There is no way out of it.
No other way. Yeah.
It's like birth.
Yeah.
There is pain. in bringing something to life.
Yeah.
You can't, like, there's a lot of things around us that there's a lot of lessons that we can learn, but we're just busy with our Instagram and Facebook and all the shit.
Yep.
So yeah.
Okay. So to continue on with your own story then,
Yeah.
how did you end up working with
Oh.
ASLLS?
Yeah, so my wife, she's a speech therapist,
Okay.
and she used to work in different clinics. And then so at that time I stopped counting, but I think I stopped counting after 225 application.
Wow.
I stopped counting. I still applying, but I don't count.
Yeah, because it just gets depressing after 225.
And then my wife asked me, okay, you work all your life with the startups and you know how to build businesses. So why you don't, because at that time she used to work in different clinics as a contractor.
Yep.
So I want to open my own clinic. Why you don't help me? I avoid working with my wife, but I said, yeah, I love her so much. She's a big supporter. So I thought, I'll support you in this. And we built that clinic 3 years ago.
Yep.
We started, me and her. So I do the business development and she does the therapy. And she's like a 12 years experience. And I think she's one of the best speech therapists. She really care a lot about her participant. We don't call them clients. And this is how we started the clinic. So we started the clinic slowly building up.
Yep.
We did few mistakes, and this is okay to do mistakes.
Yeah.
And yeah, today we have 3 who are full-time, 5 contractors.
Wow.
In 3 years.
Amazing.
And this year she's not anymore involved in so I'm the only one. So I became the managing director, and she comes only on Saturday and Friday. She take only severe clients.
Yep.
And that's it. So I manage everything in the clinic.
Okay, amazing. And then from out of that, how did the idea for Ignite come about?
Oh, this is because of my son. So I have a son. He's 4 years old, and he was born during. Not during, but just before COVID hit.
Yep.
And he survived 2 years isolation because of COVID. He didn't see anyone.
Yeah.
And so recently last year, he was diagnosed with dyspraxia, and this is where the messages from your head are interrupted from your brain to your hands or feet. So you can't synchronize them.
Okay.
He has delay of speech too, because at that time he had some. Now he is okay because we put grommets for him, but he has a lot of liquids in his ear, and because it was COVID, nobody wants to see him. And then they that built up, and then we had to put the grommets, so he couldn't hear a lot of sounds. That's why he's. And if you don't hear sounds, you can't copy
learn
them.
Yeah.
Because you're not learning any.
Yeah.
So there is one day where I went to his childcare, picking him up, and I found him. He's like a very isolated. And then when I was talking to the educator there, what he's doing, what they're doing with him, and then at that time he was having therapy, and then they didn't know what's happening in the clinic, so they didn't know any guidelines to follow to deal with him because they don't understand him.
Yeah.
And then this is where Ignite was born. The idea of Ignite, that kids spend most of their time either with parents and schools.
Yes.
They come to the clinic once a week, twice a week if they have good budget from the NDS, but usually once a week. So if those people outside the clinic, they don't know what's happening in the clinic, therapy is a waste of time and money for the government and extra stress on the couple dynamics. So there is a lot of negative results from those people who are outside the clinic not knowing what's happening inside the clinic.
Sure.
And my son was a case that his childcare educators didn't know what guidelines need or what strategies work with him and what strategies don't work with him. Now my son is lucky because his mom is a speech therapist.
Yeah.
And then I thought, what about all the other kids?
Yeah, whose parents do not have that knowledge.
Yeah. And, we live in Auburn. There's a lot of immigrants in Auburn. And this is where I started interviewing parents. And then questioning the engagement or level of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up with a big, bold statement that parents, they're not engaged because they don't want to engage. They're not engaged in therapy because they don't understand.
Yeah, that's a very valid point.
And especially those whose English is not their first language. And that's why we said, okay, we're going to create a software that can track therapy and communicate progress through visual reports.
Okay.
Because everyone can understand visuals.
Visual reports, yeah.
Yeah. Regardless of your language, you speak Chinese, Hindu, Arabic, French, you understand the progress bar. You understand a graph. So once us as a humans, we don't engage in any activity that we don't understand.
Sure.
This is unsafe. And this is how we build. So if we want to engage, we want to understand. And that's why we said, okay, we're going to create that software. The software we use, we tried a lot of softwares in our clinic. So software we used can track therapy because NDS is very goal-oriented.
Yeah.
So they give you goals and money.
Yeah.
Before NDS was born 10 years ago, you just go therapy, you don't need to track goals.
Yeah.
But now you need to track goals so you can get your funding renewal again.
Yeah.
And then this is how the idea of Ignite.
And something like this did not exist in the market.
No, and
how did they used to report progress to, like for example, to the parents? How did they report the progress?
So the way we report progress, we have something called progress report. Now that progress report costs $600 because it takes for us time as a clinicians to go through all the notes, read them, and summarize them and write them. And this report is called progress report. It's always asked by the government. This is at the end of before the plan finish, we issue that report.
Yeah.
But parents, because $600 is even if you have now the average plan for a kid, especially for early intervention, is around $10K.
Okay.
$600 for $10K, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they say, nah, we're okay. We better have some therapy. Because in their head, it's better to get professional people to work instead of getting that 600.
Sure.
We also have something called 15 minutes at the end of the session. So we do 15 minutes. This is where we take our notes and speak to parents. But in real life, after 45 minutes session, the kid, he will be so stimulated that he wants to leave the clinic.
Yeah.
He will be, because you're challenging him or her, and they want to leave the clinic.
And they're just frustrated by that.
Yeah.
Moment. Yes.
And then that's why that time it's barely 5 minutes. This is how we update parents. Either to issue for them progress report, which is no one does. We do it only once a year because this is by the government. It's requested.
Yeah.
And the second is that 15 minutes. So we have around 10 minutes for writing reports and 5 minutes with the parents.
So what that makes me think is that there is a gap in the market then.
Yeah, because the technology didn't adapt. And they cannot adapt because the infrastructure is so mature. So there's 3 main players in the industry. Clinico, Galaxy, and Power Diary. They're very big.
Yeah.
For them to change the infrastructure or the information flow from Junoon therapy to goal-oriented therapy, it's going to cost them a fortune.
It's a huge effort. And then they have to roll it out to all of their clients.
It's a lot of money. And they're happy because nobody is disturbing the space. And nobody is disturbing that space because it's working in healthcare, creating a software, first of all, is so risky and it's so expensive. So nobody wants to put. So instead, if you see all the startups now in the NDS, they're all marketplaces. So they match a provider with a clinician.
Yeah.
Because you can build a marketplace in a few $1,000s, like no code, low code, these tools, and that's it. And investors, they don't want to take that risk. So we've been really struggling, and it's okay to struggle. It's not a bad thing. To talk to investors, because creating a MVP for a dating app is different creating an MVP for a healthcare.
Yeah.
It's a more expensive. Security is there, information security, especially when you work with customers' data.
Yeah.
So you can't deploy any whatever MVP. Then when you approach an investor, he asks you, "Do you have an MVP?" You say no. I say no. I will pass on that. And that's why people. So you need to look for investors who understand healthcare. And then when you approach them, they ask me, "Are you a clinician?" No. "Are you an engineer?" No. "What the fuck you're doing here?"
So their confidence is a little thin.
So and you should be okay with that. Because this is how they perceive risk.
So even for yourself on that point, like you're not a technician, you're not an engineer, like you said. So even when you got the idea for building something like this, what is that driving force that I can do this?
First of all, I'm not a clinician, but I recruit clinicians.
Yeah.
For me to have 8 people in my team, that means I interviewed more than 20. I didn't recruit first one always.
Yeah.
So, and I manage them, I manage the quality and all that performance. And second thing is my son.
That is the biggest motivation there.
This is, if he can survive, if he survived this, I'll survive that. He's only 4 years old, and now he's getting better because he's seeing an OT and speech. And he's doing a lot of physical activity to get that synchro balanced. But I mean, look at me. Do I look like someone who will give up on this?
No, it doesn't look like it. You've been through so much.
I'm not give up. And so again, it's a lot of around adaptation. So you go to investor, they say no. You try to find another way. My other way was to go to accelerators. And I went through few. So I went through Catalyzer. I went through a pre-accelerator called Impact X by UNSW. That one opened a door for me to UNSW founders. And now they are helping me. We're doing monthly meetings to apply to the 10X accelerator. So my idea about the accelerator, okay, if the investors, they need more credibility, if I go into the accelerators, they assume that those accelerators, they do for me to get accepted. That means they did all the due diligence needed for me to go on the pitch night.
Yes.
And that will give more credibility.
Credibility to it,
So that was the thinking process in my head. Okay, I went first individually. They told me, no. Okay, more credibility. Okay, let's go through accelerators. They will do the due diligence on me. See that I'm not bluffing, or I'm not just like a hobby for me.
Yep.
And once they put me on the pitch night, investors, they will take me more seriously.
So with the software, like, is it currently in beta testing right now? Is it under development?
Right now we're building the MVP. So we decided to build the MVP because we got a small grant from Catalyzer and Tech Visa. And I really appreciate them because they put their money on an idea. Nobody would put their money. I've met a lot of people. It's very, very hard to put your money on an idea.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing there like secured.
Yeah. It's much easier like if you have a working concept, but yeah.
So right now we're using Airtable. And so the problem with the softwares in healthcare, there is 3 people in the transaction: government, payee, and payer, and beneficiary. So government, clinician, and parent. And every one of these has a veto.
Yep.
If those people, if you're not bringing a value proposition, a solid one for every one of them,
Yeah.
software will not work. And this is it. That mentality was at the beginning of the design. When we designing the software, we're bringing, like, for example, for the clinician, we're gonna make extra money for them.
Yeah.
Because in 2021, 2022, government allocated, and yes, it's too big, but they allocated 4 billion to therapy. Parents, they use only 2.4 billion. So there is 1.6 billion not used, and this is gone. Every year it's gone. So by tracking this, we can make parents spend all their money.
Yep.
And once they spend all money, that's extra sales. Right now we sit at 48,000 participants. That means 30K average per year extra sales for every clinician. For parents, we're gonna give them more transparency and more control over the data. And, like, for example, if any kid comes to our clinic,
Yep.
they're not happy with the therapy. If they want to leave to another therapist, they need the data.
Yeah.
So we need to issue for them that progress report.
Yeah.
Or they need to start from scratch.
Yeah.
So that's either you pay $600 for us to issue that progress report, so the new clinician pick from where we stopped, or you need to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And for the government right now, the government, there is a lot of talk about the NDS is not working, it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. I work all my life with startups, and whenever you release a product, you release it regardless of the cost and the quality. Obviously, the minimum quality should be there. But depending on your cash flow, you compromise the cost. The government has a lot of money, so they compromise the cost. So they ship NDS, and now they're getting the data, and everyone who works in a clinic or in the NDS, he can notice that they are creating new lines to streamline data so can get more insights.
Yeah.
And now they are working on the on improving the cost, and that's why they are now letting in a lot of early intervention kids, because what they're trying to do is, instead of that kid costing them like 20 grand after 6-7 years, they're gonna pay 12,000 now, and then it's like a prevention strategy.
Yeah.
So now they're gonna, if you see the NDS 2.0, they're gonna involve schools and use all the resources, all the people around the child.
Yeah.
And this makes sense. Like I say, this is why we create the software. So we're gonna help the government to make those people at school informed, and then everyone can collaborate, parents, clinician, and teachers, because right now it's very fragmented.
So your eventual, if I'm getting this correct, your eventual vision for Ignite would be to have it as part of the government's initiative across the board for all children going through therapy, and that would be available on the centralized system.
That's why, so right now, and that will create a more, again, about equality, equal opportunities. Will create equal opportunities for all the kids. Because now the way the funds are allocated, which is our money as taxpayers, it relies in a big chunk on your negotiation skill as a parent.
Of course.
What if you don't speak English?
Yeah, your negotiation skills are not that good.
Or what if you are an introvert? Or what if you are going through a lot of hardship, you and your partner, and then it's affecting your cognitive load and you can't express yourself properly?
Yes.
Your son will get less what he will need. And that's why when we rely on data, this is his performance. So this is where all the kids will be comparing apples to apples.
Yes, that makes sense.
Because there is more objectivity in how much your son need.
So in terms of, like, you're taking the subjectivity out of the analysis and you're giving them
as much as we can. Subjectivity will stay there, because I refuse the algorithm will distribute the money. The human side should be there always, but the decision making
should be backed by data.
Yeah, this is what I'm looking at.
Amazing.
This is I think it's fair for all the kids.
Yeah. So what currently, with the work that you're doing, let's say next 5 years, what is the pathway that you're looking at? What is the future?
So for this So right now we are concentrating on building because we had two leads, one from UNSW founders and one from Remarkable Accelerator. I met Pete Horsley. He's the founder of Remarkable. This is Accelerator only for disability. He's a nice guy. We're trying to get ready for it because this is where the investors are. We're gonna build this MVP from now until June. For the rest of the year, we're gonna be talking to more clinicians. We're trying to get to people who work in the government. It's hard, but we'll keep trying. You know, eventually, I want to create a company where we can go to post-war zones. So this technology will help us take all that framework that we created in Australia and digitalize it and taking to those post-war zones around the world. And because I think, you know, in a lot of places, including Lebanon, disability is a liability.
Yeah.
So even I remember, you know, if you have Down syndrome in Lebanon, we call you Mongolian because you look like a Mongolian, and then you dropped. This is really sad.
Yeah. Instead of giving them the tools that they need to excel in life, you deject them.
Yeah, you just put them on the side. Yeah, you just give up on them.
Yeah.
So that's my dream.
Even in countries like that, like you're saying, post-war countries, children and even adults, for that matter, would be going through a lot of PTSD.
Yeah.
But with those countries, because the conversation around mental health and rehabilitation is not as strong as it is over here, those things never get treated.
Yeah.
They never get addressed.
Exactly. Some disabilities, a lot of them, they're gonna stay, but the skills, this is where you trace developing those skills. This is because if anyone have a Down syndrome, therapy is only for building up those skills and developing them, and this is where we can trace those skills. We'll build this one. This is creating second chances, and this again comes
and that
to
again ties into your own personal story. Amazing.
Creating second chances for someone you don't know or for someone who is underrepresented.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I wish you and Ignite and the work that you are doing, it's very noble work, and I wish you guys all the power and the success, and I hope to see this implemented as soon as possible on a governmental level across for all children. And hearing about your son, this is, I see that it is a very deeply personal mission for yourself.
Yeah.
So I hope that you get all the success that you're looking for in this.
Yeah, I get a bit emotional when you talk about my son because
of course,
I think he's a second idol for me after my dad.
Yeah.
It's very hard to survive that case, and you're only 3 years old.
Yes.
Imagine what you are at 3 years old is going through. Even though I was telling my wife, so I don't watch TV, I don't have social media because they capitalize on our insecurities.
Yeah.
Until recently, I had LinkedIn because I need to
communicate with some people,
and I need that validation, whatever social validation that I'm real, I'm not.
Yeah.
But putting kids in, she was watching a movie on Netflix, and there was a girl, she was crying. Then I told her, you know, obviously this is a created movie by a first world country.
Yeah.
And then they say that we look after humans, we look after advocate for women, blah 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 blah. How much cognitive load and a kid 6 years old needs to put to cry on the camera? How is that not abusing?
True.
I mean, imagine what is going in her head. She needs to cry really hard, and maybe, I don't know, all that bring up that trauma or playing on her traumas to make her cry really real.
Yeah.
On the screen, because the more she cries, the more you get views.
Yeah.
The more you get emotional attached, the more you get views.
Yeah.
So how is that is not abusing?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah, that's business.
Amazing. Before I let you go, this has been very heartening to hear your story. I see that you're a man who feels very deeply about things. You know, you're sensitive like that. Like you're resilient, but at the same time you're also sensitive. You feel
I'm not Superman.
yeah, you feel things. You feel things deeply, and the things that you feel deeply about, you're willing to work for them.
Yeah.
With a great amount of passion. I see that. So this is a very poignant question for you then, that based on everything that you have seen through life, like you've seen back in Lebanon, you were completely dejected with the system. You did not believe in the system, and you completely gave up on any kind of progress. And then to come to terms with the fact that no, I have to improve myself to get ahead. And then, you know, your university degree, the hard yards that you've done trying to, you know, build a career for yourself, and your experience in Saudi and then Dubai and then coming to Australia, everything that you've gone through, and now the work that you're doing that is inspired by your son.
Yeah.
Based on all of these experiences, Mohamad, if I ask you that what is the one nugget of truth that life has taught you up to now, what has life taught you?
The only failure that you will face, everything you call failure is not a failure until you give up on your dreams. This is when you fail. Until then, you can call them different names.
Yep.
Setbacks, whatever. But it's not a failure until you give up on that dream. This is when you can consider yourself as you failed in that project. But until then, it's okay. It's okay to be rejected. It's okay not to feeling you belong. And one way of thinking about this, that I'm not special and the world is around. It's not going around me. Like I'm not at the center of the world. There's a lot of people who are like me somewhere, and that will make it less personal.
Yes.
You don't, and because again, believing. I'm a big fan of dopamine and neurochemistry. I'm an accountant, but I read a lot about dopamine, and believing is one of the most beautiful weird things in the brain. I mean, it's not a good metaphor, but imagine what's it going through the head of the ISIS people. For one belief, they kill themselves.
Yeah.
That's negative.
Yeah.
But on the positive side, for one belief, you can change the world for the better. You can achieve anything with just belief.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done. But again, you're not Superman. It's okay.
Yeah. Beautiful point to leave the audience on. Thank you for coming on. It was really invigorating talking to you. And you know, it's always nice to have conversations such as these, that apart from the professionalism of what you're doing and everything, just to have a human conversation.
Yeah.
You know, there is beauty in adversity.
Yeah.
There is beauty in going through the difficulties of life.
Yeah.
You know,
one thing I would like to end with is, I always say, I don't care what you do for work. If you're a butcher, you're a carpenter, you're service provider, you're a cleaner, as long as you have passion for what you do, I want to be around you.
Yeah.
Because this is contagious, and I want to be around people who have passion for what they do.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Beautiful
Thank you.
point again to leave the people on. If you enjoyed the conversation, I'll leave the details for Mohamad's LinkedIn. That's the only one he has on social media. So I'll leave the details for his LinkedIn in the description. I'll also leave a link to Ignite and ASLLS. That is the work that him and his wife have been doing. It's beautiful work. If anybody wants to get involved or learn more about the work that they're doing, kindly see that in the description. Apart from all of that, before I just leave you, if you guys haven't done already, here are the links to all of our social media platforms. All of the highlights from this conversation and from my past conversations are going to be up there, so do check that out. Until next time, this has been In The Gap. I have been Hussain, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.